He has been trying to change Pennsylvania's child sex abuse laws since coming into office in 2013, and now a string of recent sex abuse cases in the news, plus a looming report on abuse at 6 Pennsylvania dioceses. State Representative, let me start that over. Is it dioceses?
Diocese.
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 Thank you. Diocese. 3, 2. He has been trying to change Pennsylvania's child sex abuse laws since coming into office in 2013, and now a string of recent sex abuse cases in the news, plus a looming report on abuse at 6 Pennsylvania dioceses. State Representative Mark Rozzi hopes that changes soon. He joins us now on the Fox 43 Capitol Beat. Thank you so much for joining us today. And before we get to your bill that's in the House and the Senate bill that's kind of in concurrence, please share, if you will, your story.
All right, thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me on. My story is really no different than any other victim across this Commonwealth. We all have the same premise. You know, unfortunately, when I was in 8th grade back in 1983 and 1984, I was sexually abused and raped by Father Graff in the rectory shower. Those moments have lived with me for my entire life, and I've been struggling with them for so many years, and that's what really brought me to the House of Representatives, to fight for justice, to fight for kids, to make Pennsylvania the best laws protecting our children.
And when back then it was 2 years to file a civil complaint and 5 years to file a criminal complaint, and that has since been loosened up a little bit.
Right.
The bill that you have right now that you fought for 2 years ago that didn't get to where you wanted it to go, that you're hoping to get forward again now, what is it? What does it do? What are the big changes?
Before I get into that, I just want to say, though, put yourself in my position as a 13-year-old boy in a shower getting raped by a priest and thinking, do I even know what a statute of limitations is? And that's critical, because as a young boy, we don't know what the law is. But you're right, the current law then was 2 years civilly, 5 years criminally, and I was never going to come forward before the age of 18. The current statute of limitations right now is you have till age 30 and civilly and age 50 criminally, which that's okay, that's good, but it still puts Pennsylvania in the middle of protecting children, and we want to be the best. That's why I introduced that legislation.
Going back to your story, you had friends at the time that similar things happened. They committed suicide, is my understanding?
That's correct. I have 3 of my childhood friends who committed suicide. I had over 40 boys at my parochial school come forward with me, and they're struggling. They're alcoholics, drug addicts, sex addicts. This just puts so much damage in your life, and it's just so hard to get out of.
The roof started to kind of come off the top of this a couple years ago with the Altoona-Johnstown diocese, and now the grand jury report, which we expect to happen any time now with the 6 other dioceses across the state, including Harrisburg, and we're expected to detail hundreds of pages of abuse and cover-ups.
884 pages.
So we know it's 884 pages.
884 pages.
What does that mean moving forward for your bill and the future of changing potentially child sex abuse laws across the Commonwealth?
Well, the good thing about my bill is that it's all-inclusive. It just doesn't deal with the Catholic Church. Is the Catholic Church a problem? Yes, but so are the Jehovah's Witnesses. So are the abuse in family. Jerry Sandusky. We still have victims from Penn State. So the bill is all-inclusive. It's not, you know, directly going after the church, but it is the church that is lobbying. And the church keeps saying, well, this isn't a problem anymore. This isn't a problem anymore. Then why are you spending millions of dollars to lobby against this legislation? So, you know, that's where the main fight is right now.
So your bill would eliminate the statute of limitations
Completely.
to be able to go back and retroactively sue an abuser.
Right. What we're looking to do is exactly what the recommendations have been in all the other grand juries. The 3 that came out of Philadelphia, the 1 out of Altoona, Johnstown. It's to eliminate the civil and criminal statute altogether, because first of all, we know victims, the average age that someone comes forward is age 52, Matt.
Why does it take that long?
It's just the embarrassment, the guilt, and as a child, you really don't know what is going on with you until the effects start happening later in life. And I often say that I think the older I get, the more problems I'm having, the worse my mental and physical health is getting.
Take us through your mind. I mean, to that point, take us through your mind. What is, deteriorating, if you will? What are you struggling with more now than you were 5-10 years ago?
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the main things I struggle with always is just immense guilt, because I blame myself for not being able to speak sooner when I was 13 or 14, when my mom was asking me what was going on and I was still concealing it to her. And knowing that I couldn't come forward at that time and hundreds of other kids were abused. I mean, we put my abuser victims at over 200. So, you know, not be able to come forward and protect other kids, that guilt and the embarrassment and just, you know, I would struggle at night with nightmares that would be so sexually graphic, where I would wake up in the morning and not even felt if I slept the entire night. And then I would sit on the edge of my bed and cry for hours and not being able to even leave my room. And people look at me as a legislator right now and say, wow, well, look at you, look at yourself, you look great. But they don't see that part where I'm struggling so many different times where, you know, it's just a constant battle.
So let's get to the legislation part in Harrisburg. You had a similar bill 2 years ago with the retroactivity clause taken out. And the Senate took that out of their bill, and it never got back, or did get back to the House, and the House didn't do anything with it. What makes you think that this time around is going to be different, that you're going to put your language into this bill and the Senate is going to do something different than what they did 2 years ago?
What do we need? What else, I should say, what else do we need? I mean, you know, 3 grand juries out of Philadelphia, the Altoona Johnstown, Jerry Sandusky, Bill Cosby, the Me Too movement. We have sexual harassment allegations in the House of Representatives against members. Now we have this grand jury, which I say is going to be the worst grand jury on child sex abuse in the history of the United States, just because of how much it encompasses. If this isn't enough to get this done, then I really have to look at legislators who are blocking this and say, how dare you? You know, how, why, you know, I can't believe you have the audacity to stand with pedophiles and institutions that are protecting these pedophiles instead of standing with victims and doing the right thing.
Lastly, Harrisburg, all about compromise sometimes.
Yeah.
Will you take a bill that is not 100% that you want?
No. Absolutely not. And I tell everybody across this Commonwealth, I can compromise on the budget, I can compromise on pensions, unemployment compensation, liquor, whatever, gaming, but I will never, never compromise the children of this Commonwealth. I know that we have to put victims and pedophiles on the same playing field. And until we do that, I'm not backing down. It's that simple. If you have 4 children and you only want me to compromise and protect 2 of them, is that what you want? No, you want all your kids protected. And I'm going to stay here and I'm going to fight for this until I get this done.
Representative Mark Rozzi, our guest this morning on the Fox 43 Capitol Beat. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Fox 43 Morning News will be right back.